Everybody makes mistakes, but we also learn from our mistakes. And this is a useful activity from the Business English Unplugged set of videos. My name is Dylan, and these are dogma-style business English lessons, which are conversation-driven, materials light, and they focus on emergent language. This is a very simple activity, and it will give your learner the opportunity to talk about a mistake they made and the lessons learned. And it will give them the opportunity to practice storytelling and reflecting. And that really opens up a dialogue, but it can be very useful as well, learning and communicating. The procedure is, as usual, very simple. We have to relate the task to their work. Everybody makes mistakes at work, and we learn from these mistakes. So it's quite easy to connect that with their professional life. If you want to, you can have a rehearsal phrase. So you could elicit some phrases for describing errors. I should have double checked. The result was that. It's a good way to practice modals in the past, which learners often struggle with. Then we move on to the actual task itself. This is where the learner shares their story. So again, you could make it into a little simulation or role play, and you can make it monologic, where the learner really practices telling the story, or a bit more dialogic if you ask for questions while they're telling the story. So that can help them react in a more spontaneous way, deal with questions, and so forth. When they've done it once, and you could have a time limit, you could say try to do it in 1 minute or 2 minutes. Then you do the feedback part. They can reflect and refine to improve the accuracy, the tone, the clarity. You can add some extra language points if you like, reformulate, and so on. And then give them the chance to repeat. So with this emergent language, they can try it again, and hopefully the result will be a little better. Again, you could do that 2 or 3 times. But just telling anecdotes, especially about mistakes, is such an invaluable exercise for your learners, because it's something they can do on a number of occasions. And they can use that language and that structure for talking about mistakes in other situations. As a follow-up activity, remember we need to consolidate this new language. You could ask them to write a short lessons learned note. I would also suggest maybe getting them to create an audio message, an audio note, where they just practice talking about this mistake in the past. If they do this 3, 4, 5 times, they'll get so much better at doing that. And from a language point, using modals in the past is something that a lot of learners struggle with. So should have, could have, and so on. They can really practice that with this little activity. Hope it's useful.